Hey everyone, welcome back. We are continuing our journey inside Orawa Castle, and there is still so much more to explore. From hidden rooms to incredible views, it just keeps getting better. So let's jump right back in. So, picking up right where we left off, let's continue exploring the castle. So, we are here in the armorial room, and you can see these chests with different coats of arms on them. Each one represents a different family or region connected to the castle's history, which is actually really interesting to see. So, this is the Knight's Hall, and right in the center, you can see this large table surrounded by chairs. Back in the days, this is where feasts would take place, mostly with men gathered around. As you look around, the walls are covered with details frescoes showing hunting scenes. Interestingly, there are only a few women in these paintings and they are quite small, so they are easy to miss. The whole room was designed to reflect a medieval lifestyle, which you can really feel while walking through here. These rooms show the contrast in castle life, starting with the servants' bedroom, where they were on duty all day, and then the lord's bedroom, with a large elevated bed designed for warmth and protection. Right now, we are inside the five-floor palace of Jan from Dubovik, built in the first half of the 16th century in late Gothic style. This section was completely destroyed in the fire of 1800 and later rebuilt during the castle restoration in the 20th century. Today, it houses the Natural History exhibition of the Orawa Museum. As we walk through, you'll find some of the oldest and most interesting exhibits, including the rare natural specimens and usually historical displays. One of the highlights here is an over 400 years old fir stem, which is really impressive to see in person. The exhibition also explores different natural environments from the Orawa region: forests, meadows, wetlands, and alpine areas from the western Tatras. You can even see old and new maps of Orawa side by side, showing how the region has changed over time. Now we are in the middle courtyard, and from here you can get an amazing view of both the upper and the lower parts of Orawa Castle, along with the surrounding landscapes and the river below. It's one of those spots where you can truly take in the scale of the castle, the cliff, and the river flowing through the valley. There is a real sense of calm here, and it almost feels like stepping back into medieval times, just surrounded by history and complete peace. Now we are inside the antique furniture exhibition located in the residential tower and parts of the palace of Jan from Dubovik. Most of what you see here dates back in the late 19th and early 20th century, showing how interior styles and daily life evolved over time. Around the rooms, you can also notice decorative wall elements from the time of František Turzo, along with some mysterious drawings whose origins are still not fully known. There is even a separate dining area once used by missionaries, designed in neo-Gothic style, with replicas of old weapons and historical kitchenware on display. The Orawa district is still considered a region rich in folk culture, both in physical traditions and in intangible heritage. This ethnographic exhibition, located in the Dubovik Palace, brings together different elements of traditional life, mainly focusing on how people lived and worked in this region. The displays here represents everyday life in Orawa, especially the farmers and shepherd culture. You can see how closely people were connected to nature and how important simple tools, handmade objects, and local craftsmanship were in daily life. It really highlights the skill and individuality of folk artisans from this region. In a separate section, there is also a display dedicated to the Orava yeomanry, the lower nobility that started forming around the 13th century. Many of them originally came from farming families and over time gained land and status through loyal service. Yeomans had their own coats of arms, used Slovak names, and were part of both local governance and cultural development. Even the Slovak language remained widely used in daily life and administration, which helped preserve national identity and later contributed to its development. The exhibition also shows how important home-based production and traditional crafts were, from household items to tools used in farming and rural work. Everything here reflects a very practical but deeply cultural way of life in the mountains of Orava. Now we are making our way up to the upper castle and you can feel the air getting a bit cooler here. As we climb higher, the views really start opening up, with rolling hills and distant mountains stretching all around the castle. We have now reached the upper castle, the highest and the oldest part of Orava Castle. Right here you can see the rainwater well carved directly into the rock, which served as the main water source for this section, especially during times of siege when supplies were limited. This area dates back to the 13th century and was built as a strong defensive point used for storage, shelter and protection. Getting here today feels simple, but back then it was only accessible using ropes and ladders, making it extremely difficult to reach. Now we are in the media library, which highlights the film history of Orava Castle. This place has actually been attracting filmmakers for over a century. One of the earliest and most famous movies filmed here was Nosferatu back in 1921, a classic horror film that really made the use of castle's mysterious atmosphere. Interestingly, in that film, the castle was shown as the way that made it hard to recognize, adding to the eerie and dramatic feel. Over the years, many other films have also been shot here. It's pretty cool to think that while walking through these halls, you are also stepping through real movie locations that have been part of cinema history. This is the highest part of the upper castle accessible to the visitors. It serves as the archaeological exhibition which takes visitors for a journey through the history of Orava. We'll go into more details in the next episode. And here is a quick preview of what's coming up in the next episode. If you are new here, make sure to check out our previous series and videos, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more travel content like this.